Hey, and welcome back to JBC English Learning Academy. My name is Laura, and I'm here to guide you on your journey to clear, confident, and natural English. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you never miss a lesson. Your support truly helps this channel grow. All right, take a deep breath, relax, and let's begin today's session. I want you to imagine a quiet morning, soft light touching your desk, and a single email window open on your screen, waiting for the first words you will type. And as this quiet moment fills the room, I want to take you into a story about a young man named Daniel, who never thought writing emails could be such a powerful part of life. And yet here he was, staring at the blinking cursor, unsure of what to say. And as you listen to this narration, I want you to follow his journey, because through his experience, you will learn how to write emails like a pro, in simple English, clear English, and calm English. But before we go deeper, let me take you to the beginning, when Daniel first started working at a small company in a busy city, where every day felt fast, loud, and full of surprises. And on his first day, he realized something important, something almost shocking. Most of the communication in the company happened through email, and even the smallest task, the smallest plan, the smallest question, everything seemed to start with writing a message. And Daniel, who could speak English quite well, suddenly felt nervous because writing felt different, more serious, more permanent, as if each sentence he wrote stayed on the screen longer than he wanted, and he worried it would show his mistakes, his doubts, even his fear. He opened his laptop, the soft hum of the machine filling his ears, and he read the first instruction from his manager. Please email our client to introduce yourself and confirm the meeting time. A simple task, right? Just an introduction and a confirmation, something easy, something small, something almost boring. But to Daniel, it felt like climbing a tall mountain, because he didn't know the right tone, he didn't know the right structure, and he didn't know if he should use formal phrases or friendly ones, and he hesitated, his hands hovering over the keyboard, because writing in English felt like playing a new instrument, one he had never practiced before. And maybe you, listening now, understand that feeling, the feeling of wanting to write something good, something clear, something professional, but also feeling unsure, afraid of sounding too direct, too soft, too simple, or too complicated. So Daniel began to worry. What if I write something wrong? What if I sound rude? What if I make a mistake and the client does not understand me? These questions filled his mind and made the moment even heavier. But then something small happened, something simple, something easy to miss, but it changed everything. He remembered advice from a friend who once told him, emails are not about being perfect. They're about being clear. And as he remembered this, his breathing slowed, his shoulders relaxed, and he looked at the empty screen again, feeling just a little more confident. So he began to type, Dear Mr. Lewis, but then he stopped, thinking, is dear too formal? Should I write hello? Should I use the person's first name or last name? And this is where the journey really starts, because learning how to write emails like a pro is not about complicated grammar or fancy vocabulary. It is about understanding the tone, the purpose, and the simple steps that guide the reader. And Daniel, without knowing, was standing at the beginning of that learning path. As he sat there, thinking, he looked around the office, watching other people typing emails so fast, almost like musicians playing a song they had practiced for years, and he wondered how they learned to do it, how they made it look so easy. And maybe you also wonder how some people write naturally, how they write confidently, and how their emails always sound polite, clear, and professional. The truth is simple. They learn the rhythm, the structure, and the small details that make an email work. So Daniel forced himself to continue, writing a simple introduction. My name is Daniel. I am the new assistant at Brightstone Company. He looked at the sentence, reading it again and again, worried that it sounded too simple, but simple is good in writing, especially in professional emails, because simple English is clear English and clear English is professional English. So Daniel continued, slowly letting the words flow. I would like to confirm our meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m. And suddenly, he felt something he had not felt before, a small sense of progress, a small feeling of success, because he had written something complete, something clear, something useful. But the journey did not stop because writing one email does not make someone a pro. It takes practice, it takes patience, it takes understanding, and above all, it takes learning through stories like this one. So as Daniel finished his message, he added, Please let me know if this time is still good for you. And he ended with best regards, Daniel, before reading the whole email again. And this is where he made his first big discovery. Every email has a simple structure, like a house with 4 parts, a greeting, a short introduction, the main message, and a closing. This structure became his guide, his map, his support whenever he felt lost. But the story takes a small turn, because just when Daniel felt ready to send the email, he noticed a small thing, a small detail, a small mistake. He had not checked the spelling, and he knew that even one mistake can make an email look unprofessional. So he read the message slowly, line by line, and he fixed a missing comma, a capital letter, and one verb ending, and this simple act, checking his writing, started to build a habit that would help him become a strong, confident email writer. And maybe you can relate. Maybe you also feel that small mistakes in writing make you nervous. But here's something important. Mistakes are not the problem. Leaving mistakes without checking is the real problem. Daniel clicked send, and for a moment, he felt a wave of fear, wondering how the client would react. But a few minutes later, he received a reply. Thank you, Daniel. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. works perfectly. Welcome to the team. Those words were like sunshine breaking through clouds, because for the first time, Daniel realized that writing emails was not as scary as he imagined. He understood that politeness, clarity, and simple sentences were enough to create a good message. And this realization became a turning point because from that moment, Daniel wanted to improve. He wanted to learn. He wanted to write emails like a pro, not because he wanted to impress anyone, but because he wanted to feel confident every time he pressed send. And this is where the deeper lesson begins. Because confidence in email writing does not come from long sentences or complex vocabulary. It comes from knowing what you want to say, keeping your tone polite, and respecting the reader's time. As the day passed, Daniel received more tasks and more emails to write, and each one helped him understand something new: how to make a request politely, how to reply quickly and professionally, how to follow up without sounding impatient, and how to stay calm even when the message was urgent. But the real challenge appeared a week later, when his manager asked him to write an email to an international partner, someone important, someone senior, someone who expected clear and respectful communication. And suddenly, Daniel felt that nervous feeling return, the feeling of doubt, the feeling of fear, the feeling of being unsure. But this time, he had something he didn't have before: experience. Even small experience can make a big difference. He remembered the structure. He remembered the tone. He remembered the simple words that created professional writing. And he began to type again, slowly but confidently, building each sentence with care. Every email he wrote became a step forward, a step toward clarity, a step toward confidence. And as he learned, every small lesson became a part of him. Always start with a greeting. Always introduce your purpose early. Always keep sentences short. Always use polite expressions. Always check before sending. And always write with the reader in mind. And maybe, as you listen now, this journey feels familiar to you because you also want to improve your writing. You also want to write emails that sound natural and professional. And you also want to feel confident every time you send a message. And I want you to know something important. You can. You absolutely can. Because writing emails like a pro is not about talent. It is about practice, guidance, and simple habits. And the story of Daniel will help you learn all of this in an easy, friendly way. As the sun set outside the office window, Daniel took a deep breath and looked at his screen one last time before closing his laptop. He felt tired, yes, but he also felt proud because he had taken the first step, and first steps are special. They are the beginning of change. And as he walked home, thinking about the day, he realized that writing emails was more than just a work task. It was a skill that opened doors, built relationships, and showed professionalism. And this realization, this gentle discovery, became the start of his transformation. Because from that point on, every email he wrote was not just a message. It was a chance to grow, a chance to communicate clearly, a chance to become better. And that is the takeaway of this first part of our journey. You do not need to be perfect. You just need to be clear. You do not need complex English. You need simple English. You do not need to write long paragraphs. You need to write with purpose. And if you start small, like Daniel did, if you take your time, if you practice, you will grow, and you will write emails like a pro, step by step. This is just the beginning of the story, the first chapter in a long journey, and as you continue listening, you will learn more tips, more lessons, and more secrets to writing strong, confident emails in English. But for now, take a moment to reflect, to breathe, and to imagine yourself opening that first email window, ready to write with clarity and confidence, because that is where your journey begins too. The next morning, when Daniel walked into the office, he felt a gentle sense of confidence in his step, a small but important change, because writing that first email had opened something inside him, something new, something hopeful, and as he sat at his desk with a warm cup of coffee, he looked at his inbox and saw several new messages waiting, each one like a small doorway into a new moment of communication. And even though a part of him still felt nervous, another part of him felt ready, curious, and willing to learn more. He clicked on the first message, a request from his manager asking him to prepare an update for a client, and the manager added one simple line: "Please write this email with clarity." And that word, clarity, echoed in Daniel's mind, because clarity was not just a writing tip, it was a whole approach to communication, a way of thinking, a way of choosing words, and a way of understanding the reader. So as he sat there, he began to observe something important, something that would slowly transform him into a strong writer. Almost every email in the company followed a simple pattern, a small structure like a gentle rhythm, something easy to read, easy to understand, easy to reply to. And this structure helped people stay connected in a busy world. He began to think about clarity like a light in a dark room, something that shows the path, something that removes confusion, something that makes communication feel smooth and calm. So he opened a new message and began drafting the email for the client, wanting to do it well, wanting to keep it simple, wanting to practice this new idea he was learning. "Dear Anna," he wrote, and for the first time, he did not question the greeting or hesitate over the tone, because he felt comfortable, he felt steady, he felt ready. He continued with simple sentences. "I hope you are doing well. I am writing to give you an update on the project." But then he stopped, thinking deeply about the message, because something inside him whispered that emails were not only about being polite, they were also about guiding the reader, helping them see what matters, helping them understand the message without feeling lost or tired. So he continued slowly, rewriting one sentence at a time, shaping the message like clay in his hands, making sure each sentence carried a clear purpose. And this small action, thinking before writing, became the heart of his learning. As he wrote, he felt the importance of using short sentences. He felt how simple words created calm. He learned that each sentence should express only one idea, because too many ideas in one sentence can confuse the reader, and confusion makes writing feel heavy. He realized that clarity is not about using many words. It is about using the right words in the right order. With this new feeling, he continued writing. "We have completed the first stage. The design is ready. We will start the next stage on Monday." And he looked at these lines with a soft smile, because they felt clean, simple, clear. But then came the challenge: how to give more information without making the email long or difficult. And this was the moment when Daniel remembered something he once heard in a workshop. When you write, imagine the reader's mind as a room. Your words should enter the room and find a place, not fight for space. So he took a deep breath and organized his thoughts, starting with the most important details, saving the less important ones for later. And slowly, the email grew in a clear, steady way. But as he wrote, something deeper began to happen. He started to enjoy the process. He enjoyed the feeling of building something with words, shaping meaning, creating understanding. And this joy made him more patient, more careful, more thoughtful. But life in the office does not stay quiet for long, and just as he was finishing the email, his colleague Sophie walked by and noticed him typing slowly. She smiled and said, "You're thinking too much." Emails are easy once you learn to keep them simple. And Daniel laughed softly, embarrassed but grateful, because hearing that from someone more experienced made him feel less alone, less unsure, less stressed. So he asked her, "How do you write so clearly? What is your secret?" And Sophie, who had been writing professional emails for years, sat beside him and shared the simplest yet most powerful advice. One email, one purpose. Those 4 words changed everything for him, because they explained something he never realized before. Most mistakes in emails happen when people try to do too many things at the same time. Ask a question, explain something, request something, complain, or apologize, all in one message, all in one long paragraph, all in one breath. But clarity comes from focus. Focus brings calm. Focus brings understanding. So Sophie told him, "Every time you write, ask yourself, what is the one thing I want the reader to understand?" And this question became like a compass inside Daniel's mind, guiding him every time he opened a new message. As the morning went on, Daniel continued practicing this new approach, sending emails that were short, clear, focused, and polite, and with each message, he felt his confidence growing like a small plant receiving sunlight. But the story would not be complete without a challenge, and this challenge arrived in the form of a long, complicated email from a client named Mark, who wrote in a fast, informal style, mixing questions, comments, frustrations, and updates all in one message. When Daniel opened it, he felt overwhelmed, like a wave had crashed over him. The email was full of long sentences with no breaks, no structure, no clear order, and reading it felt like trying to untangle a long piece of string. But instead of panicking, Daniel remembered something important. Clarity begins in the mind. If the message you receive is unclear, your job is to bring clarity back. So he took a slow breath and read the email again, breaking it into parts, identifying the questions, the problems, and the requests. And then something beautiful happened. He began organizing the client's ideas in his mind, separating them, understanding them, seeing them clearly. And when he replied, he used a simple structure that would soon become his natural style. First, he thanked the client. Second, he addressed each question in order. Third, he offered a simple next step. And this reply, this calm and organized message, made the client respond with relief. "Thank you, Daniel. Your explanation is very clear." And those words were like music to his ears, because there is nothing more rewarding in writing than knowing your message helps someone understand something. As the day moved forward and the lights in the office began to dim, Daniel sat quietly, thinking about what he learned. He realized that clarity is not only a writing skill, it is a gift. When you write clearly, you help people. You make their day easier. You save their time. You reduce their stress. And you build trust. And this trust becomes the foundation of strong communication. When he finally shut down his computer, he walked out of the office with a peaceful feeling in his chest, because today was not just another workday. It was another step in learning, another step in growing, another step toward becoming the kind of writer he always wanted to be. And as he walked home through the soft glow of streetlights, he reflected on the biggest takeaway of the day. Clarity is kindness. When you write clearly, you show respect to the reader, you show professionalism, and you show confidence. And this simple truth became the heart of his transformation, a truth that would guide him in every future email he would write. The next week at the office began with a soft rain outside, the kind that makes the windows shimmer and the world feel calm, and Daniel sat at his desk feeling ready for whatever tasks would come his way, because after learning the power of clarity, he felt different inside, lighter, stronger, more hopeful, and as he opened his laptop, the small notification sound announced a new email from his manager, a message that would take him into the next level of his learning journey. Understanding how politeness shapes professional communication, how tone can open or close doors, and how the right words, even simple words, can create trust and respect in every message. His manager wrote, "Daniel, today you will respond to our international partners. Please use polite and professional language." And as he read that line, he felt a spark of curiosity, because politeness in English is not always obvious, not always direct, and not always achieved by saying please or thank you. It is something deeper, something softer, something that lives between the words. So he leaned back in his chair and thought about the messages he had received in the past, especially the ones that made him feel respected, calm, and comfortable. He remembered how polite emails felt gentle, how they guided the reader without sounding demanding, how they created cooperation instead of pressure, and he realized that politeness is not decoration, it is communication. As the rain continued outside, Daniel opened the detailed email from their international partner, a woman named Ms. Rivera, who asked for updates, timelines, and small adjustments to the project. Her message was direct but warm, clear but friendly, and Daniel knew his reply needed to match her tone, show respect, and maintain professionalism. So he began with a polite opener. "Dear Ms. Rivera, I hope you are doing well." He paused, feeling the rhythm of the sentence, noticing how soft and natural it sounded, not too formal, not too casual, just balanced. He continued, "Thank you for your message and for your clear questions." This simple line made him feel proud, because thanking someone at the beginning of an email is like opening the door gently, letting the other person know you value their time. Then he started answering her questions one by one, but this time something important happened. He focused not just on clarity, but on tone. He remembered Sophie's advice. Your words can make people feel calm or stressed. Choose calm. And so he used polite expressions, softeners that make requests or explanations feel friendly and professional. Expressions like, could you please, would you mind, we would appreciate if, it would be helpful if, and please let me know if this works for you. These phrases, simple as they are, became his tools, his small instruments of connection. As he wrote, he learned something new. The difference between polite English and direct English. Direct English says, send me the file today. Polite English says, could you please send me the file today? Direct English says, you made a mistake. Polite English says, there seems to be a small mistake. Direct English says, change this. Polite English says, could we please make a small change here? And Daniel realized that politeness is not about being indirect. It is about being respectful. It is about giving space to the reader. It is about showing that you see them not as a machine that must complete a task, but as a person working with you. So, he continued shaping his message with gentle care, choosing the simple, friendly, respectful tone that beginners sometimes forget, but professionals always remember. And as he wrote the final lines, please feel free to contact me if you have any questions. I will be happy to help. He felt a warm sense of connection, like he was reaching across the digital space and shaking hands with Ms. Rivera, even though they had never met. When he clicked send, he felt calm, confident, and proud, but moments later the challenge arrived. Another email from a different partner, this time from someone who sounded stressed, rushed, and slightly frustrated. The message was filled with short, sharp sentences. Need the files now. Why delay? Please answer today. At first, the tone made Daniel uncomfortable, like stepping into a cold room, and he felt his heart beat a little faster. He wondered, should I match their tone? Should I reply quickly? Should I defend our delays? But then he remembered something important. Politeness is strongest when the situation is stressful. It is easy to be polite when everything is calm. The real test comes when someone else is not polite with you. So he breathed slowly and said to himself, stay calm, stay clear, stay polite. And with this mindset, he began writing. Dear Mr. Chin, thank you for your message. I understand that the delay is frustrating. By starting with understanding rather than defense, he created a bridge instead of a wall. He continued with clear explanations, gentle language, and polite requests. And when he ended the message, he felt proud because he had chosen patience over panic, clarity over confusion, and politeness over stress. When he received the reply from Mr. Chin, he was surprised. The tone was softer, calmer, more understanding. It said, "Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate your explanation." And this small change in tone taught Daniel something powerful. Polite writing can transform conversations. It can change the mood. It can reduce tension. It can build trust. And trust makes professional relationships strong. The rest of the day brought many emails, and with each one, Daniel practiced polite expressions, learning the soft words that create respect. "I would like to, may I ask, please let me know, could you possibly, thank you for your patience. I appreciate your time." These became the gentle colors in his writing palette, and he used them to paint calm, clear, friendly messages. And slowly, something beautiful happened. People began writing to him with the same tone. They used more polite words. They asked questions more gently. They responded more kindly. It was like his writing had created a small ripple of calmness around him. But the biggest moment came at the end of the week, when his manager gathered everyone for a short meeting. She smiled and said, "I want to highlight someone who has shown great growth in communication." And Daniel felt a soft surprise when she looked at him. "Daniel has written some of our clearest and most polite email responses this week. Well done." A warm wave of pride washed through him, not because he wanted attention, but because he finally understood something big. Politeness is a strength, not a weakness. Politeness creates connection. It builds trust. It makes communication smoother. And in the world of professional writing, tone is as important as content. As he walked home that evening, the city lights reflecting on the wet streets, Daniel felt grateful for everything he had learned, that every polite email is a quiet act of respect, that tone matters as much as clarity, and that the right words can turn frustration into understanding. And he promised himself to continue practicing, to continue learning, to continue writing in a way that brought calm into busy inboxes everywhere. Because polite writing is powerful writing, and this truth would stay with him for the rest of his journey. The days passed, and Daniel settled into his new routine with a sense of growing confidence, but he did not know that the next challenge would come in a form that many professionals struggle with: the follow-up email, the message you send when someone has not answered you yet, the message that must be polite but firm, gentle but clear, respectful but confident. And as he arrived at the office one quiet morning, the sun rising softly behind the tall buildings, he opened his inbox and noticed something troubling. A very important client had not replied to a message he sent 3 days ago, a message containing essential information for the next steps in the project, and without their confirmation, the whole team could not move forward. When he saw this, a familiar nervous feeling returned, because he remembered how he used to hate sending follow-ups, always afraid of bothering people, always afraid of sounding impatient or rude, always afraid the other person would think he was pushing too hard. But now, with everything he had learned, clarity, politeness, structure, he felt just a little braver, a little more ready to face this challenge. He stared at the screen for a moment, thinking about how to begin, because follow-up emails can feel heavy, like knocking on someone's door when you're not sure if they want to see you, and he did not want to sound annoying. He wanted to sound professional. He remembered Sophie once telling him, "A good follow-up email is like a soft reminder. You knock on the door gently, not loudly." So Daniel opened a new message window, the cursor blinking like a heartbeat. And he started with something warm and polite. Dear Mr. Harris, I hope you are doing well. He felt the simple sentence set the tone, gentle and respectful, and then he added a line to show understanding. I know you are very busy, and I appreciate your time. He realized something important in that moment, that showing empathy is one of the strongest tools in professional writing because everyone is busy, everyone is juggling many tasks, and when you acknowledge that, you make the reader feel respected. Then he slowly moved to the purpose of the message, choosing simple English so nothing sounded stressful or demanding. I am writing to kindly follow up on the message I sent last Friday regarding the project schedule. He reread the line and felt calm because the phrase kindly follow up softened the request, making it friendly and professional. But he knew the most important part was still to come: how to remind the client of the information without sounding pushy. So he continued, typing slowly, carefully. We are ready to move to the next step, and we would be grateful to receive your confirmation when you have a moment. That phrase, when you have a moment, became like a small magic key in his writing because it gave the reader space, time, and freedom. And in business communication, freedom creates trust. He ended the message with a simple closing. Thank you very much for your attention. Please let me know if you need any further details. Best regards, Daniel. As he read the email again, he felt something shift inside him. He did not feel nervous anymore. He felt steady. He felt clear. He felt professional. But the story does not end here because what happened after he sent the email changed something deep in his understanding of communication. Less than 1 hour later, he received a reply from Mr. Harris, who wrote, Thank you, Daniel. I am sorry for the delay. Your reminder was very helpful. Please go ahead. And Daniel felt an unexpected wave of relief mixed with pride, because the client had not been annoyed. In fact, the client appreciated the follow-up. And this taught Daniel a lesson he knew he would never forget. Follow-up emails are not pushy when they are written with kindness. They are important. They keep work moving. They help teams stay organized. And they show responsibility. But the day brought another lesson, one that would push Daniel even further. In the afternoon, his manager approached him with a slightly worried expression and said, Daniel, can you handle another follow-up? This time, it's more difficult. She explained that another client, a woman named Clara, had not responded in over a week, and the project was stuck. When Daniel opened the previous messages, he noticed something challenging. The first email was long and filled with many details, and the second message, written by a different colleague, was even longer. No wonder the client hadn't replied. Maybe the messages were tiring to read, maybe confusing, maybe too much information at once. So Daniel decided to try a new approach, a short, simple, respectful reminder. He typed, Dear Clara, I hope you are doing well. I am writing to gently follow up on my previous message. When you have a moment, could you please share your thoughts on the proposal? We would like to continue with the next step, and your feedback is very important. Thank you for your time. Warm regards, Daniel. He looked at the message and smiled, because it felt clear, short, and easy to read. And this became a turning point in his writing journey. He realized that sometimes being short is the best way to show respect. Long emails take time. Short emails give space. Later that evening, as the office grew quiet and most people had gone home, Daniel stayed a little longer, watching the lights of the city outside and thinking deeply about the day. He understood now that writing emails was not only about choosing words, it was about reading emotions, managing time, showing responsibility, and creating connection. A follow-up email is not just a reminder. It is a bridge between people, a message that says, "We're working together," a message that helps work move forward smoothly. And as he shut down his computer, he realized something powerful, that email writing is a skill of patience, empathy, and clarity. A skill that grows with practice. A skill that can change your life, your work, your confidence. A skill he was slowly mastering. And the takeaway he carried home that night, as he walked through the gentle evening breeze, was simple but strong. Good email writers are good communicators, and good communicators build trust. And trust opens doors. The following week arrived with the warm glow of morning sun filling the office, and Daniel felt calm as he sipped his coffee and opened his laptop, unaware that today he would face one of the most difficult challenges in professional communication, learning how to say no politely, learning how to refuse a request without hurting feelings, learning how to protect his time and still sound respectful. As he scrolled through his inbox, he found a message from a colleague named Jordan, who wrote with excitement, asking Daniel to take on an extra task, preparing a detailed report for a client meeting the next day. But Daniel already had a full list of work, with deadlines coming quickly, and he knew that if he accepted Jordan's request, he would not be able to complete everything on time. He felt a familiar pressure rise inside his chest because saying no was something he had always struggled with, something that made him feel guilty, something that made him worry that people would be disappointed in him. But today, he remembered the lessons he had learned in the past weeks, the lessons about clarity, politeness, structure, and confidence, and he realized that professional communication is not only about saying yes nicely, it is also about saying no kindly. So he sat for a moment, thinking deeply, feeling the weight of the decision, and then he opened a new email window, the cursor blinking with quiet patience. He began carefully, choosing a warm and gentle opening. "Hi, Jordan. I hope you are doing well." Then he added a line to show appreciation. "Thank you for thinking of me for this task." This part felt important because appreciation softens the message, and Daniel wanted Jordan to feel respected, not rejected. But the real challenge came next, the part where he had to deliver the message he was afraid to say. So he wrote slowly, choosing simple English and soft, polite expressions. "I would love to help, but I am currently working on several urgent tasks with deadlines today and tomorrow." He paused, reading the sentence again, feeling proud of its honesty, because being honest without sounding rude was the heart of professional communication. Then he added a gentle refusal. "I'm afraid I won't be able to prepare the report in time." But Daniel knew that refusing a task is easier for the reader when you offer support in another way, a small gesture of help, a suggestion, an alternative path. So he continued, "However, I would be happy to help you later this week, or I can share the documents we used last time to make the report easier to prepare." As he read the entire message from beginning to end, he felt a mix of relief and nervousness, because saying no is not easy, even when the message is polite. But he also felt proud of being honest, proud of being respectful, proud of communicating clearly. He clicked send and took a deep breath, unsure how Jordan would react. But just a few minutes later, he saw a new message appear. He opened it slowly, and his heart softened when he read, "No problem at all. Daniel. Thanks for letting me know. I understand. The documents would be a big help." And at that moment, a new feeling washed over him, a feeling of empowerment. He realized that saying no does not always create conflict. In fact, when done respectfully, it can create understanding, trust, and healthy communication. The experience became a turning point in Daniel's journey, teaching him something essential. A good email writer knows how to protect their time, their work, and their well-being, and they can do it with kindness. But the day was not done teaching him. Later that afternoon, he received another request, this time from someone senior, a manager from another department who asked Daniel to prepare a document urgently before the end of the day. The message was short and direct, almost too direct, and it made Daniel feel a small knot in his stomach. He looked at the clock. It was already late afternoon. He knew it was impossible to finish everything in time. He also knew that when someone senior makes a request, saying no can feel frightening. But he remembered the calm tone he used earlier, the polite structure, the simple English, the clear reasoning. And he knew he had to stay honest. So he began typing another polite refusal, this time even more carefully. Dear Ms. Parker, thank you for your message. I understand the importance of this document. Unfortunately, I already have 2 urgent deadlines today, and I will not be able to complete the document before the end of the day. He read the words and felt a slight tremble inside, but he continued. If possible, I can start working on it first thing tomorrow morning and send it to you before noon. Please let me know if that works for you. He hesitated for a moment before pressing send, but eventually he did, trusting the lessons he had learned. The wait for her reply felt long, but when the email finally arrived, he exhaled in relief. She wrote, "Thank you for the update, Daniel. Tomorrow morning is fine. I appreciate your clear communication." And this reply taught him something deeper and more powerful. People respect honesty. People appreciate clarity. People trust someone who communicates with confidence and kindness. As the office slowly emptied and the sky outside shifted from bright blue to soft evening orange, Daniel stayed at his desk for a moment, reflecting on everything he had learned that day. Saying no does not make you weak. It makes you professional. It shows responsibility. It shows respect for your time and the quality of your work. And he realized that polite refusals are not about closing a door. They are about opening a better one, a door built on truth and transparency. As he packed his bag and walked out through the quiet hallway, he felt a calm strength inside him, a confidence that came not from saying yes, but from communicating honestly and kindly. And the takeaway he carried home that evening, with the cool evening breeze brushing past him, was simple but powerful. Professional communication is not only about what you can do, it is also about knowing your limits and expressing them with respect. And this lesson would stay with him forever as he continued becoming a master of email writing. The next chapter of Daniel's journey began on a bright morning when the office was unusually quiet, the kind of quiet that feels almost heavy, almost important. And as he sat at his desk, sipping warm tea and feeling the soft hum of his computer beneath his fingertips, he didn't know that today he would face one of the biggest challenges of all, writing an email that absolutely had to be perfect. An email with no space for confusion, no room for mistakes, and no second chances, because it was the company's response to a serious complaint from a client, a message that could change the future of a professional relationship. When Daniel opened the complaint email, his heart sank a little. The client, a man named Mr. Evans, explained that the team had delivered a document with incorrect data, and he felt disappointed, stressed, and confused. His message was polite but firm. He expected a fast, clear explanation. Daniel could almost feel the frustration between the lines. He took a deep breath and leaned back in his chair, knowing this was not like the other messages he had written. This one required balance, honesty, calmness, responsibility, and professionalism, all at once. And yet, in that quiet moment, he remembered everything he had learned: clarity, politeness, structure, tone, empathy, and the courage to communicate with confidence. So instead of panicking, he closed his eyes for a second and thought, "Just breathe. Take your time. You can do this." Then he opened a new email window and began crafting the message step by step, almost like building a bridge piece by piece. He started softly. "Dear Mr. Evans, thank you for your message." He knew the first sentence mattered. It set the tone, showed respect, and created a calm opening. Then he added a line that acknowledged the problem with empathy. "I am very sorry to hear that the document caused confusion." He paused, reading the sentence again, feeling its weight, understanding that acknowledging someone's frustration does not make you weak. It makes you human. But he also remembered something his manager once said: "When something goes wrong, don't hide it. Be honest, be clear, and take responsibility." So he continued with humble honesty. "You are absolutely right. There was an error in the data." He did not try to write long explanations. He did not try to defend the mistake. He did not try to blame anyone. He simply stated the truth, clearly and respectfully. And this honesty created a strong foundation for the rest of the message. Next came the part that required even more thought, the explanation. He knew explanations must be clear but not overwhelming, simple but not vague. So he wrote, "The error happened because the file we used for the report was not the final version. This was our mistake, and we take full responsibility." He felt a slight tremble as he typed those words, because accepting responsibility can feel scary, but he also felt proud, because responsibility creates trust, and trust is the heart of good communication. Then he moved to the most important part, the solution. Problems happen in every workplace, but what matters is how you fix them, how you show that you care, how you make things right. So he continued softly but firmly. "We have now corrected the data and prepared a new version of the document. I am attaching it to this email for your review." He read the sentences again, feeling their clarity, their simplicity, their sincerity. But he knew the message was not complete. Something else was needed: the human side, the empathetic side, the reassurance that the mistake would not happen again. So he added, "We truly value your trust, and we understand how important accuracy is for your work. We are reviewing our process to make sure this does not happen again." As he typed the final lines, "Thank you again for your patience and understanding. Please feel free to let me know if there is anything else you would like us to adjust. Warm regards, Daniel." He felt a sense of peace wash over him because he knew he had done his best. He knew he had written with honesty, clarity, and responsibility. He knew he had put his heart into the message. And when he clicked send, he leaned back in his chair and exhaled deeply, aware that the next few minutes would feel long. He waited, and waited, and waited. Then, finally, a notification appeared. His stomach tightened as he clicked on it, but the message surprised him. It was calm, warm, and full of relief. Mr. Evans wrote, "Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate your clear explanation and fast response. The corrected document looks perfect. Mistakes happen. What matters is how you fix them, and you handled this very professionally." Daniel smiled softly, the tension melting from his shoulders, because this reply taught him something he would remember forever. Professionalism is not perfection. Professionalism is responsibility. It is honesty. It is calm communication during stressful moments. And it is the courage to say, "We made a mistake and we fixed it." As the afternoon sun warmed the office, Daniel reflected deeply on the experience. He realized that writing a perfect email is not about using complex English. It is about using true English, honest English, respectful English, English that shows you care. He felt himself growing, not just as an email writer, but as a communicator, a teammate, a professional, a person. And as he packed up his things and walked out of the building, the cool breeze touching his face, he carried with him a new lesson, a new strength, a new chapter in his journey. In difficult moments, your words can heal, repair, rebuild, and connect. And that is what makes email writing such an important skill. Not the typing, but the trust you build with every message. And as he stepped into the soft evening light, he knew he was becoming something he had never imagined before, a confident, thoughtful, responsible communicator. And this was only the beginning. As the weeks passed and the gentle rhythm of office life continued, Daniel began to feel something new inside him, something steady, something warm, something like quiet confidence growing day by day. And he didn't realize how much he had changed until one morning when he was asked to write an email that was not about solving a problem, not about refusing a request, not about giving an update, and not about answering questions, but about something deeper and more human, building a relationship. It started when his manager came to his desk with a friendly but serious expression and said, "Daniel, I want you to write a thank you email to one of our long-term partners. This partnership has been important for years, and we want to make sure they feel valued." As Daniel listened, he felt a small wave of nervousness because writing a thank you email sounded simple, but he knew it held weight. Gratitude is not just a polite habit. It is a bridge between people, a way to make connections stronger, warmer, more meaningful. And he wanted to do it right. So he took a moment, looked out the window at the soft morning light, and thought about what gratitude truly meant. He thought about the emails he had received in the past that made him smile, the ones that felt genuine, the ones that felt like they came not from a screen but from a real person. And he realized something. Gratitude in writing is not about sounding formal or poetic. It is about sounding real. So he opened a new email window, the cursor waiting patiently like a quiet heartbeat, and he began with warmth. "Dear Miss Carter, I hope you are doing well." He paused, letting the words settle, and then he continued with sincerity. "I am writing to express our deep appreciation for your support and partnership over the past year." He did not want to use complicated words. He wanted the message to feel natural, human, simple, and true. Then he wrote, "Working with you has made a big difference to our projects. Your clear communication, fast responses, and thoughtful feedback have helped us grow and improve." As he typed these lines, something surprising happened. He felt emotional. He felt the truth behind the words. And he understood, maybe for the first time, that emails are not just digital messages. They are conversations carried through time and space. They carry tone, feeling, respect, and trust. He continued the message with a gentle, warm tone. "We truly value the relationship we have built with you, and we look forward to continuing our work together." But he knew a good thank you email also needs a human touch, a small detail that makes the message feel real and personal. So he added, "Your professionalism and kindness have always made our collaboration smooth and enjoyable." And when he wrote the words kindness, he felt their weight, because kindness is something people never forget. He ended with a soft closing he had learned to use with confidence. Thank you again for everything. Please let us know if there is anything we can support you with. Warm regards, Daniel. He read the email again, slowly, as if listening to the tone inside the sentences, and for the first time, the message felt almost like a conversation. Not forced, not formal, not cold, but warm and balanced. He clicked send, feeling a comfortable sense of calm in his chest. But then something unexpected happened that turned this simple thank you message into one of the most important lessons of his journey. Later that afternoon, a new email arrived from Ms. Carter with the subject line, "Your message made my day." When he opened it, he found a long, heartfelt reply. She thanked him for the kind words, saying that she had been having a difficult week, feeling tired and a bit discouraged, and that his message reminded her why she enjoyed working with his company. She wrote, "Your email brought a smile to my face. Thank you for your sincerity and kindness. Communication like yours builds trust, and trust is the strongest part of any partnership." As Daniel read these words, he felt something shift inside him, something powerful, something warm. He realized he had not just written an email, he had created a connection. He had touched someone's day with simple English. He had strengthened a professional relationship with sincerity. He had done something meaningful, not with fancy vocabulary, not with long explanations, but with honest words spoken from the heart. And in that moment, he understood one of the deepest truths about communication. Words are not just tools. They are bridges. They can make people feel supported. They can make people feel seen. They can make people trust you. They can make people feel hopeful again. And he realized that as much as email writing is about clarity, politeness, structure, and responsibility, it is also about humanity, warmth, and connection. The next morning, when he arrived at the office, his manager approached him with a soft smile and said, "Ms. Carter called today. She said your thank you message was one of the best she has ever received." And Daniel felt a warm burst of pride, not because he wanted praise, but because he had discovered something important. Good writing is not about showing how good your English is. It is about showing how good your heart is. As he sat down at his desk and opened his laptop again, he felt a new level of confidence, a deeper understanding, a fuller sense of purpose. He realized that every email, big or small, simple or difficult, has the power to shape relationships. And this lesson, this truth, this moment of connection stayed with him like a quiet light guiding his journey forward. And as the day went on, as the soft hum of the office wrapped around him, he carried with him the most important takeaway of all. Professional communication is not only about information, it is about connection. And when you write with sincerity, you build bridges that last.